What's going on, guys? Kigerr here, and today we'll be looking into Craftsman. We'll be looking into the two archetypes and what each of them try to do and what goes with them. Let's get into it. So here we go, Craftsman. It's a very interesting class because when you start the game, you can only pick between the three other ones, the Gladiator, the Ranger, and the Scholar. But once you hit level 58 and unlock dual class, then you get the option of choosing Craftsman. You don't have to pick Craftsman, but that's the only time you're able to use Craftsman. Now let's talk about the two types. You have armor and mechanician. So armor, when you overload, while you're in overload status, your armor skills, crit rate and crit damage are increased by 30%. Let's look at the outside. It is all plus damage and crit damage, so that's okay. I mean, nothing bad with it, just nothing to keep eye out for. So let's start with Blasting Sparkle. Raises blast energy to attack the target, dealing damage and gaining 1 stack of preparation. When you have 5 stacks of preparation, you're in what's called Overload. During Overload, all of your mechanic abilities will have a bonus effect. What's worth noting is the first 2 skills right here do use overload. You still gain preparation and gain overload, but you do not need to be an armor to get the overload effects. You can be a mechanician to get it. So let's see. If you are in overload, prevent the target from recovering HP for 5 seconds. So this can be really, really cool in PvP. If you're against one of the scholars, if you're against Holy Sacrifice, then you can prevent them from healing their allies. It also their heal also gets rid of debuffs, so you have to be careful about that. But generally, like other skills such as the Berserker that heals based off of damage done, or as we'll talk about in a minute, Blood Restraint for Craftsmen heal themselves based off of their damage and things like that. So over here, Blasting Sparkle is really good against that, as well as bosses that have a healing mechanic. Then we have Flamey Cannon. Shoot several missiles, dealing damage and gaining preparation. When you have Overload, additionally increases the damage dealt with this skill by 30%. That will be on top of your armor Overload passive for 30% crit rate, 30% crit damage. Then we get into the armor only skills, which is Scorching Blast. Throws a grenade, dealing damage and gaining preparation. If you're in Overload, reduce the movement speed of targets hit for a short time. It doesn't say how much here, but it looks to be, when testing it, about 80 to 90% movement speed reduction, which is massive. Then last but not least, Nether Fire. Sprays burning fire with a large flamethrower, enemies in front of you dealing damage, and it's worth noting that percentile, 1152, is one of the highest ones I've seen. See, 400, 350, 203, even on other stuff, 40%. That 1100 is a lot. And then gaining 2 stacks of preparation, which allows you to hit your Overload easier. And when you're in Overload, increase the crit damage by 50%, which will be on top of the Overload 30%. And you'll also get that 30% chance to crit, making it more likely. So highest percentile I've seen, coupled with 80% crit damage and 30% crit chance, makes this a powerhouse with damage. Next, let's check out Mechanician. Their effect is for skills with Mechanician effect, duration of summons increased by 60%. So let's take a look. Outside effects are all damage, 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 damage. And then we check out Energy Blast, shoots the weapon with damage to enemies and a cone in front. So this does an AoE in front of you, which is nice. Then we have Blazing Fire, summons a turret, dealing damage per attack lasting for 12 seconds. Remember, if you are a mechanician, it'll be increased by 60%. But to remember, this summon, the turret, can be used on armor as well. So we already kind of see what they want to do. All of the summons can be targeted by enemies. You can use them to mess up people's targeting by putting them on the ground for them to hit. Or you can set them up in such a way that they get free reign on, let's say, a boss for a good amount of extra damage. Then you have Blood Restraint, an ability that I really enjoy. Creates energy around your body. You'll see a thing on the ground, a big circle around you. Deals damage over time to enemies. 50% of the damage dealt, because you can hit an infinite number of enemies that can fit inside your circle. You heal for 50% of the damage dealt, and you also increase your defense by 24%. It goes up to 27% as you scale it. So you increase your defense by a lot. You have to get near people, and as you deal damage near people, you heal yourself. So we don't really talk about the side ones right here, but increasing the damage by as much as you can seems like a great priority for the mechanician. Last but not least, a mechanary creation summons 4 spider bots, dealing damage each hit for 15 seconds. Mechanician spider bots will deal explosive damage equal to 150% of attack when they die. So they can attack your spider bot, sure, but if they kill it, they blow up. And when the time runs out, they also blow up. So, I mean, that works for you, right? So they last for 15 seconds with a 36-second cooldown, but the 15 seconds gets increased by 60% with the mechanician craze passive. But what works with the armor and the mechanician? Unfortunately, in a lot of game modes, armor, even though they have Nether Fire as one of the highest base damage skills in the game, mechanician generally wins out in PvP and PvE just because of that healing over time from Blood Restraint, as well as no one can say anything bad about the spider bots. So until armor gets some buffs or whatnot, you're generally going to be looking at the mechanician. But what does mechanician go with? So mechanician have a lot of long cooldown abilities. So you want a class that has low cooldown abilities that you can kind of swap between. I like something like the Wind Chaser, which has another self-heal type skill. Something you'll run into as the mechanician is when you put out your Blood Restraint and you're healing over time. If you are heal blocked, then you won't be getting that. Whereas with the Ranger Wind Chaser Strength of Nature, it cleanses your debuffs. Then you'll be good to go. Even if you're already currently under Blood Restraint, you can hit Strength of Nature, heal from Strength of Nature, and then continue to heal from Blood Restraint. You also have getaway skills such as Shifting Bolt, and if you want to stay on top of people with Blood Restraint, you'll have things like Roundhouse Kick. Another great option would be Judge over here on the left, because they have a lot of short cooldown skills, and they're very reminiscent of that armor type skills where you have a resource that you're trying to get a hold of. With armor, you're trying to get overload, and with Judge, it's an empowered effect on all your skills. So that's kind of what I want with my Craftsman. Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys are using Craftsman and what you're using with it. Till next time, guys.